Okay, so let's start the modeling from the mechanical viewpoint. Okay, so I will have here, let's start with the shaft model. Okay, in this case, a shaft model includes a wind turbine model, shaft model, generator model, and full-scale converter model. Okay, so it's possible to classify the drivetrain. So I will have here my drive train. Yeah, I will have three possible models. Okay, the first one is the single mass model. Okay, this is the single mass model. Okay, so in this case, the wind turbine blades, they have the gearbox and the generator rotor are equivalent to one mass. And this is the mass. It means the whole wind turbine is modeled as a one mass. Okay, this is my first model. Yeah, the second possibility is the two mass model of the transmission chain. Okay, what happened in this model? I will have the wind turbine and the generator rotor are taken as separate masses, okay? So I will have here two masses. This is the first one. In this case, I will have the wind turbine and the generator rotor on the other side. This is for the generator and this is for the rotor. That is the reason I have two mass model of the transmission chain, okay? But I will have the last possibility is the three mass model. Okay, so in this case, I will have here the three mass model. Okay, the first one is for the generator, the second one is for the gearbox, and the last one is for the rotor. Okay, what happened in this three mass model? The wind turbine, the generator, and the blades are taken as separate masses. Okay, so I will have three possibilities. So in order to carry out a stability analysis, I will use typically the two mass model. Okay, I will use typically the two mass model. So in order to model the full scale wind turbine model, okay, I will carry out two analyses. The first one is with the gearbox and the second one is without the gearbox. Okay, so let's start the analysis. Do you have any question, guys?
Excuse me, doctor, I have a problem with the internet.
Okay. Please turn off the microphone, okay? Okay, guys, so let's continue. Let's start the model. So in the first part is the shaft model with gearbox. Okay, so in the first case, I will take into account the gearbox. I will take into account the gearbox. So from the transient stability analysis, so the drivetrain is always described by a two-mass dynamical model. So that is the reason I concentrate only in this model. I will have here to the left side the turbine model, to the right side I will have the generator. So the two-mass model of the drivetrain is composed of low-speed shaft, gearbox, and high-speed shaft. Okay, so I will have here the low-speed shaft, okay, I will have here the high speed shaft, okay, and this is the gearbox, okay, and this is the gearbox. This is the shaft model with gearbox, okay. In the case of the let's say if I have a frequency converter, okay, in this case the direct drive power permanent magnet synchronous generator base. Okay, the turbine is equipped as a multiple permanent magnet synchronous generator. This is for the direct drive. Okay, so I will have a multiple permanent magnet synchronous generator without a gearbox. So I will have two possibilities. In the first case, I am taking into account the gearbox. In the second case, I am not taking into account the gearbox. In this case, I will have a direct drive topology. Okay, I will have a direct drive topology. Therefore, I will have here, for instance, this is the inertia. Okay, this is the bigger mass correspond to the inertia of the wind turbine rotor. Okay, I will have here the generator. The smaller mass correspond to the inertia of the generator. Okay, so I will have here a constant K. This is the rigidity coefficient, okay, of the wind turbine. Okay, I will have here D is the damping coefficient. Okay, yeah, I will have here D of the generator. Okay, so the subscript term means the turbine. Okay, and the subscript J is for the generator. Okay, so I need to model for steady state for the stability analysis the 2 mass model. Okay, so in this case, the 2 mass model can represent the operating characteristic of the shaft model with or without gearbox. Okay, so and the mass model can be expressed by 3 equations. Okay, so I will have here the 3 equations. Okay, I will have here the 3 equations. The first one is for the turbine. Okay, the second one is for the generator, and the last one is for the angle. Okay, and the last one is for the angle. Okay, but pay attention, I will have here 2 angles. Okay, the first one is the angle of the generator, and the second one is the angle of the turbine. Okay, so I will copy here. Here is the angle. So I will have the generator angle, and I will have here the turbine angle. Okay, this is the relative angular displacement. Okay, between the 2 masses, I will call this theta s. So once again, the relative angular displacement, theta s, between these two masses. Okay, so let's start with the first equation. Okay, so let's start with the first equation. I will say from the dynamical viewpoint, I will have 2 times, this is the inertia of the turbine, okay, is equal times the derivative. Okay, so I will have here the derivative. So once again, I will have 2 times, this is the inertia of the turbine, this is the derivative of the turbine speed, okay, is equal to the torque, this is the torque of the turbine, okay, minus K, okay, this is the relative angular displacement between the 2 masses, okay, minus, I will have here the damping coefficient of the wind turbine, okay, times, I will have here the speed of the wind turbine. This is my first equation, and this equation is for the turbine, okay? The second one is the dynamical of the generator, okay? So for the 2 mass model, okay? For the 2 mass model, that is the reason I have one equation for the first mass and the second equation for the second mass, okay? I will have the derivative times the derivative. I will have here the generator speed. So in this case, I will have here the speed of the generator rotor. Okay, this is equal to this factor K. This is the rigidity coefficient of the shaft, okay? So times, I will have here the relative angular displacement between the 2 masses, okay? Minus, I will have here the, in this case, I will have the electromagnetic torque of the generator, minus, I will have here the damping coefficient of the generator, times, in this case, I will have the speed of the generator rotor, okay? And finally, in order to have the 2 masses, I need the relative angular displacement of these 2 masses, okay? I will call this theta s. This is equal to the synchronous speed times, I will have here the rotor speed. This is the speed of the wind turbine, minus, in this case, is the speed of the generator rotor, okay? Okay, this is the 2 mass model. This is the 2 mass model. This is the 2 mass model for the wind turbine. Okay, the 2 mass model from the wind turbine. Okay, so now I need to simplify the analysis. This is the model for the 2 mass. This is the mathematical model of the shaft, in other words. Okay, what I need is the generator model for the squirrel cage induction generator. Okay, in this case, to simplify the analysis, is usually assume the surface of the stator and rotor of the three-phase asynchronous is smooth, and the three-phase winding is symmetrical. So I will take this assumption, okay? On the other hand, the magnetic saturation, the eddy currents, and the iron current loss are ignored. Okay, therefore, the squirrel cage induction generator has a high order characteristic and is nonlinear and strongly coupled, okay? Therefore, it's possible to define the generator model by 4 equations. Okay, but in this case, under the DQ synchronously rotating coordinate system, okay, I will have, this is the voltage, the stator voltage on the D-axis, okay, is equal to the stator resistance times the stator current on the D-axis, plus I will have here the derivative. This is the stator flux on the D-axis, okay? This is the derivative minus the synchronous speed. And I will have here the stator flux on the quadrature axis, okay? This is for the stator. But I will have the second component is the quadrature axis, okay? This is equal to the stator resistance times the stator current on quadrature axis plus the derivative. In this case, I will have here the stator minus the speed. I will have here the flux, the stator flux on the quadrature axis. Okay, this is for the stator. What about the rotor? Once again, I need to split up in 2 components. Okay, the first one is the rotor voltage on the D-axis. So I will have here the rotor resistance times the rotor current on the quadrature axis. I will have here the derivative. Okay, I will have here the derivative. Okay, so I will have here, there is a mistake. Okay. Okay, this is the derivative, is right. Okay, this is the derivative of the rotor flux, okay, minus the synchronous speed. This is the rotor flux on the quadrature axis, okay? This is the Q. Okay, this is for the rotor. So the last component is the quadrature, the rotor voltage on the quadrature axis, okay? So I will have here the rotor resistance, okay, times the rotor current on the quadrature axis, okay, plus the derivative. So I will have here the rotor flux on the quadrature axis minus the synchronous speed times the rotor flux on the direct axis. And this is equal to 0. And this is equal to 0 too. Okay, so this model is under the DQ synchronously rotating coordinate system, okay? This is the dynamical model, okay? This is the dynamical model. Okay, this is for the voltages. What about the fluxes? Okay, what about the fluxes? So I will have here this is the direct axis voltage, the direct axis flux, sorry. This is the stator flux on the D-axis, okay? So this is for the voltage. What is missing is the fluxes, okay? So I will have here the stator inductance, okay? I will have here the stator current on the D-axis plus the magnetizing current times the rotor current on the d-axis, okay? So I will have two components because I am working in the synchronous reference frame, okay? So I will have here the quadrature component. So I will have here the stator inductance times the stator current component, okay, plus the magnetizing inductance times I will have here the rotor current on the quadrature axis, okay? This is for the stator side. What about the rotor side? Okay, once again, I need to split up into components. This is the rotor flux on the axis. Okay, I will have here the rotor inductance times the rotor current on the axis plus the magnetizing inductance times this is the stator current on the d-axis, okay? And the last component is the quadrature one. Okay, so I will have here the rotor inductance times I will have here the rotor current on the quadrature axis plus the magnetizing inductance times the stator current on the quadrature axis. Okay, so it's possible to have three different coordinate systems. Okay, so the first one is the rotor reference frame, the second one is the stator reference frame, and the last one is the synchronous reference frame. Okay, so finally, in order to have the dynamical model of the squirrel cage induction generator, okay, I have the voltages, I have the fluxes, and finally, I will compute the electromagnetic torque. In this case, the electromagnetic torque corresponds to different expression, and the most common expression is the following. So I will have here the electromagnetic torque the electromagnetic torque is equal to 1.5, okay, times the number of poles times the magnetizing inductance over the rotor inductance times I will have here the rotor flux on the axis, okay, times the stator current on quadrature axis plus the rotor flux times the stator current on the axis. So this is the dynamical model of the squirrel cage induction generator, okay? On the squirrel cage induction generator. Okay, so now I am capable to have the electric circuit. Okay, now I am capable to build the electric circuit. Okay, so yeah. So a question from the mathematical model of an induction generator in the DQ reference frame and the equivalent circuit at the DQ reference frame is shown in this figure. Okay, is shown in this figure. So I will take the equation of the voltages. Okay, this is the four equation of the voltages. Okay, I will take the equation of the fluxes. Okay, this is the four equation for the voltages. I will build the circle. Okay, I will build the circle. Okay, so let's start. This start with the voltage. This is the stator voltage on the axis. Okay, so I will have here the stator voltage on the axis. Okay, is equal to the stator resistance times, so applying Kirchhoff voltage law in this loop, right? So I will have here plus the derivative of the stator flux on the axis. This is the derivative minus I will have here the synchronous speed, the flux. This is the stator flux on the quadrature axis. Okay, this is the stator flux on the quadrature axis. Okay, so this is my first equation. Okay, in a similar way for the quadrature axis. Okay, so this is the equation for the quadrature axis. Okay, applying Kirchhoff voltage law, I am building the circuit. Okay. So pay attention. Pay attention. I will have here the stator leakage, the leakage inductance. Okay. Yeah, I will have here the leakage inductance for the stator and for the rotor too. Okay. So let's work in the fluxes. Okay. So I will say, for instance, applying Kirchhoff voltage law in this loop. So I will have the stator flux on the direct axis is equal to here. Okay, so I will have this inductance times this current. Okay, so I will have here the inductance. The inductance times this is the stator current on the axis. Okay, plus, so I will have here this. This is magnetizing inductance times I will have here this current, and this current applying Kirchhoff current law is the sum up of this current plus this current. Okay, so I will have here, yeah, the first one. Yeah, I will have here the second one. Okay, so taking out the common factor, the stator current on the D axis. So taking out the common factor, I will have here the leakage inductance plus the magnetizing inductance times the stator current on the axis plus the magnetizing inductance times the rotor current on the axis. Okay, and this inductance is called the stator inductance. Okay, so therefore the stator flux on the axis, okay, is equal to the stator inductance times the stator current on the axis, the D component, plus the magnetizing inductance plus the D component. Okay, and this equation is this one. Okay, in a similar way, I will get the other component and for the rotor. Okay, so finally, I will get this electric circuit. Okay, this is the dynamical model of the induction generator in the DQ reference frame. And besides, this is the equivalent circuit at the DQ reference frame. Okay, using this equation, voltages equation and fluxes equation. So I am able to build the dynamical model. Okay, this is the dynamical model of the squirrel cage induction generator. Okay, so in order to make clear this, let's work in the first problem. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so pay attention to this problem. Pay attention to this problem. Okay, I will have here the data in table 1 is the data of the 2.3 megawatts wind turbine. Okay, the rail voltage is 690 volts. The frequency is 50 hertz for the squirrel cage induction generator. Okay, so I will have the data here. Okay, I will have here the data. So this is the rate output power. Okay, the mechanical power. I will have the data for the stator side and the rotor side. This is the moment of inertia. So I have the base impedance in order to compute the per unit values. The base impedance is, in this case, 0.1838. This is data. Okay, the base inductance is 0.58513 millihenries, and the base capacitance is 17,316.17 microfarads. Okay, so in order to compute the per unit values, by definition, is equal to the actual values over the base. Okay, with these bases, I will get the following per unit values. Okay, this is for the squirrel cage induction generator. Okay, for this problem, for this problem, the steady state waveforms of the 2-3 megawatts, the output voltage is 690 volts, okay, is here. This is the steady state waveforms of the squirrel cage induction generator. But in this case, I have operating under the rate conditions, okay, under the rate condition. Therefore, I will have here, for instance, the current. This is the state of the direct access current. Okay, this is the quadrature. Okay, so I will have here the angle. Okay, this is the flux. This is the rotor flux. Okay, and this is the voltage and the current. Okay, this is under the rate condition. On the other hand, I will have here the simulate waveform during the start up of the squirrel cage induction generator wind energy system. Okay, this is for the starting up of the generator. And besides, I will have here the steady state equivalent circuit of an induction generator. So you can see here to the left side, the stator, and to the right side, the rotor circuit. Okay, so the problem is asking me to compute the root, mean square, and peak values of the stator current. This is the question A. The question B is the root, mean square, rotor flux linkage. Later on, the current peak values, and finally, the DQ axis stator voltage. Okay, so for this problem, I will have here the equivalent circuit. Okay, so I will use this equivalent circuit. So let's compute the stator impedance. Okay, so my first objective is to compute the root, mean square values and peak values of the stator current. Okay, so by definition, the stator current, this current, okay, so the stator current you can see here is equal to, I will have here a equivalent impedance, right? I will have here a equivalent impedance in order to compute the current. Okay, so let's go here according to this equivalent circuit. Okay, for this equivalent circuit, I will compute the stator impedance. So I will have here the equivalent, right? And the equivalent is equal to, I will have here this resistance plus the leakage inductance, plus I will have here this equivalent. These two elements are in parallel connection, okay? So I will have the stator resistance plus the leakage inductance plus the equivalent. So I will have here the magnetizing inductance. In parallel, I have here the rotor resistance over the slip plus I will have here J, and this is the leakage inductance of the rotor. Okay, so let's back to the data. Let's back to the table. In this table, I will have here the whole data. Okay, I will have here the whole data of the machine. Okay, so for this case, I will need the rotor resistance, the stator resistance, sorry. So I will have here the resistance. This is the stator winding resistance, is this value. Okay. Later on, I will need the slip. Okay, so the slip for this problem is the rate slip. Okay, yeah, I will have is negative 0.00A. Okay, so substituting the values in the equation, substituting the values of the equation of the table, and the slip is negative 0.00A. This is the rate slip. Okay, I will get the stator, the equivalent impedance. Okay, in this case is the magnitude 0.1838, and the angle is 152.6 degrees. This is actual values, right? This is ohms. Okay, I am using the ray slip, and the ray slip according to the table is 0.008. With this slip, I will get this equivalent. Okay, I will get this. This is the input impedance, in other words. Okay, so now let's answer the first question. The first question is to compute the root mean square values and the peak values of the stator current. Okay, so the stator current. Okay, so once again the notation. Do you remember? This is phasor. This is a space vector. Okay, normally phasor down, or either phasor down or up is the same. But if I have the arrow, means space vector. Okay, means space vector. Okay, so therefore it means phasor. Okay, this is equal to the stator voltage over, I will have here the input impedance. Okay, so this is equal to, so once again I will use the nominal value. What is the stator voltage? I am working at rate conditions, right? So the nominal value in this case is 690 volts. Okay, this is 690 volts on the stator side. Okay, therefore I am working as a single phase system, so I need to divide it. This is the reference, by the way, over the square root of 3 over the input impedance. From the previous calculation, we know this value is equal to 0.18, okay, 38, and the angle is 152.6 degrees. Therefore, the stator current, okay, is equal to 1168, and the angle is equal to 152.6. In this case, is actual values, amperes. Okay, because I am working at ray quantities, okay, under the operating conditions, it means if I want to compute the per unit value, the actual value is equal to the base. Therefore, I will get in per unit values 1 per unit. Once again, because I am working under rate operating conditions. Okay. So now let's compute the peak value. Okay, by definition is equal to the square root of 2 times the stator current, but only the magnitude. Okay. So I will have here the square root of 2 times 2168 amps. Therefore, the peak value is equal to 3066 amps. Okay. So once again, in per unit value, this is the base. So I will have 1.414 per unit. So this is the peak value. Okay, this is the peak value. So this is my first question. Okay, this is my first question. Later on, according to the problem, I need to compute, let's back to the PowerPoint. So I have already computed the root mean square value and the peak value of the stator current. Now I need to compute the root mean square value of the rotor flux linkage. Okay. So by definition, the root mean square value of the rotor flux linkage, this is a phasor, okay, is equal to, so I will have here the magnetizing flux, okay, minus I will have here the leakage inductance, okay, times the rotor current. Okay, so in order to compute the rotor flux, I need to know the magnetizing flux and the rotor current. Okay, and the rotor current. Okay, so first of all, let's compute the rotor current. So do you remember, I will have here the equivalent circuit. This is the equivalent circuit. So I need to compute the rotor current. So once again, I will apply Kirchhoff voltage law. Okay, I will apply Kirchhoff voltage law and a Kirchhoff current law. Therefore, from this circuit, okay, so the rotor current, this is phasor, okay, is equal to, this is the magnetizing inductance, stator current over the magnetizing inductance plus I will have the rotor resistance over the slip, okay, plus J, the leakage inductance, applying the current divider, okay, applying the current divider. Okay, therefore, what about the data? Once again, the slip is equal to the negative 0.08. The magnetizing inductance comes from the table, and the stator current we get from the previous calculation. Okay, so let's back to the table and let's analyze once again the data. Okay, so I will have here what I need, the rotor resistance. So I will have here the rotor winding resistance is this value. Okay, the magnetizing inductance is this value. Okay, and besides I need the leakage inductance of the rotor. Okay, so I will have these values. Okay, so substituting these values in this equation. Okay, so the rotor current. Okay, so the rotor current is equal to 2030.8. Okay, and the angle is equal to negative 167.7 degrees, and this is amps. This is actual value. So in order to compute the per unit value, I need to divide it by the base. Okay. So once again, in per unit values, I will have this is equal to 0.937 amps. Okay, this is the rotor current. So on the other hand, I need to know the magnetizing flux linkage. Okay, so by definition, we have already demonstrated this equation. The magnetizing flux, okay, is equal to stator current minus rotor current over the magnetizing inductance. Okay, so stator minus rotor over the magnetizing inductance. Okay, so therefore, so in the first step, in the first question, we compute the stator current. This is the rotor current, and the magnetizing inductance is data from the problem. Okay, therefore, I will get 1.2168. I am working in actual values, okay? And this is negative 83.9 degrees, okay? WB. This is the flux. This is the magnetizing flux. Now I am able to compute the root mean square value of the rotor flux linkage, okay? Because I have already computed the current, the rotor current, and the magnetizing flux. Okay, so therefore, the rotor flux is equal to the magnetizing flux minus, I will have here the leakage inductance in the rotor, okay, times the rotor current, and this is negative. Okay, so we have already computed this bar and this is data from the problem. Okay, so the rotor flux is equal to 1.2096. The angle is negative 77.7 degrees. Okay, but the problem is asking me to compute the peak value, right? Therefore, by definition, the peak value is equal to the square root of 2 times the magnitude of the flux. Okay, so this times the square root of 2, I will get 1.7106. Okay, in per unit values, this is equal to 1.349 per unit. So let's compute now the current peak values. Okay. So okay, so the stator current on the axis is equals to, so I will take the real part. Okay, so I will have here the cosine. I have the angle of the stator current. This is the angle of the stator current. Okay, so I will have here the angle of the stator current minus the angle of the rotor flux. Okay, this is for the D component, D axis component. What about the quadrature axis component? So I need to take, instead of cosine, I take the sine, right? So I will have here the stator current on quadrature axis, on Q axis, is equal to the stator current, in this case the sine of, I will have here the angle between the stator current minus the angle of the rotor flux. This is phase. Okay, so from the previous calculation, we know what is the angle between the stator current and the rotor flux. And this angle is equal to negative 74 degrees. Okay, therefore, substituting in the equation, so I will have the stator current on the axis is equal to the magnitude. We have already computed this value. The magnitude is 2,168. I have here the cosine. The angle is equal to negative 74.9. Therefore, the stator current on the axis is equal to 564.8 amps. So once again, in order to compute the per unit value, I need the base. So therefore, in per unit quantity, so I will have here 0.261 per unit. Okay. For the next part, in order to compute the stator current on Q axis, so I will replace by the sine. Okay, so this is the same, this is the same. So I will get negative 2093 amps. Once again, in per unit values, taking into account the current base is equal to negative 0.965 per unit. Okay, but the problem is asking me to compute the current peak values. Okay, so the current peak values are given by, so I will have here the peak value. by definition is equal to the square root of 2 times the current, okay? Times the current. So I will have here the stator current on the axis, okay? By definition, in order to compute the peak value is equal to the square root of 2 times the current, okay? And for the quadrature component, I will have here the square root of 2 times, this is the stator current on Q axis, okay? So from the previous calculation, we know these two values times the square root of 2, I will get 798.7 amps. In per unit values, I will get 0.368 per unit. What about the quadrature axis component? So I will have here negative 2,960 amps. In per unit values, I will get negative 1.365 per unit. Okay. So from the simulation, we can see these values. Okay, so from the simulation, we can see these values in this picture. Okay, in this case, I will have here the steady state waveforms of the squirrel cage induction generator operating under the ray conditions. So you can see here we get the same values. Okay, we get the same values. So finally, we need to compute the DQ axis stator voltage, and finally the phasor diagram of the induction generator in the DQ axis. Okay, so let's continue with the DQ axis stator voltage, the root mean square value, of course. So I will have here the stator voltage on the axis. Okay, so once again, we have already computed this value. I will split out in the two components. So I will have here the stator voltage and this times the cosine. And how do I get the angle? Okay, this is the angle between the stator voltage and the rotor flux. Okay, so we have already computed this value and this value. Okay, do you remember this is the reference, right? This is the output voltage of the wind turbine, is 690 volts. Okay, but we are working in per phase, so therefore I need to divide it by the square root of 3. Okay, so for this one, I will have here the per phase analysis cosine. So from the previous calculation, we know this is 0, right? And we compute the angle for the rotor flux, and the angle is 77.7. Okay, this is negative, minus negative becomes positive. So I will have here the cosine of 77.7 degrees. Okay, and then I will get 84.
The angle is negative, doctor.
See, the angle is negative. And I will have here minus, and this is negative, so it becomes positive. Is that clear?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, so in per unit values, I will have here 0.2130 per unit. Okay, and what about the stator voltage on Q axis? Okay, this is equal to the stator voltage. In this case, I will take the imaginary part. This is the sine of this angle, the same angle. So I will have 77 point, and this is equal to 389.2 volts. In per unit values, I will have 0.977 per unit. Okay, so that is it for this problem. But in spite of the fact that the problem is not asking me to plot the phasor diagram, okay, I want to plot the phasor diagram. Okay, so let's start with the stator voltage. This is the reference. So I will have here the stator voltage. In per unit values is 1, and besides is the reference, 0 degrees. Okay. What about the rotor flux? Okay, so I will have here the angle is 77.7. So that is the reason it's negative, Mr. Jawa. See, with negative becomes positive. Okay. So I will have here the rotor flux. It's phasor. Okay. And finally, the stator current. Okay, so for the stator current, let's use another color. So I will have, yeah, this is the stator current. Okay. The magnitude is equal to 1, and the angle is 152.6 degrees. I am working on per unit values. Okay. So this angle is equal to 152.6 degrees. Okay. So let's split up. This is the phasor diagram. Okay, so let's split up, or let's compute in the direct and quadrature axis component. Okay, so I will have here once again the voltage. This is the voltage, the stator voltage. This is a phasor. Okay, so the rotor flux is this one. Okay, so I will have the rotor flux. The stator current is this one. So I need a calculation of the stator current in the axis, and the stator and the quadrature current, and the stator current in Q axis. Okay. Therefore, I will link the D axis with the rotor flux. So I will have here, okay, I will have the D axis. Okay. Yeah, I will have here the quadrature axis. This is 90 degrees. Okay. This is the Q axis. Okay, so therefore, I am able to split up in the two components. Okay, so the first one, for instance, for the current, for this current, I will have here the two components. Okay, this is the stator current in quadrature axis. Okay. And this is equal to negative 0.965 per unit. Okay. What about the stator current on the axis? So I will have here the second component, and this is the stator current on the axis, and this is equal to 0.261 per unit. Okay, so what about the stator voltage? For the stator voltage, I will have here, this is the quadrature axis component, and this is the direct axis component. Okay, so this is the phasor diagram of the induction generator superimposed with DQ axis. Okay. Okay, guys, so do you have any question? Do you have any question, guys? Mr. Cheese, are you there? Mr. Martinez, are you there?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, guys.
Yes, doctor.
Okay. Did you get it?
Yes, doctor. Yes.
Okay, guys. So let's continue. Let's continue with the next part. Is the generator model. In this case, is for the second topology. Okay, this is the permanent magnet synchronous generator. Okay, so normally. Okay. So normally the permanent magnet is excited by the permanent magnets to establish the mathematical model. So once again, in the DQ synchronous rotating reference frame. So I will assume the following. So the first assumption is the saturation of the machine iron core is ignored. This is about the saturation. So once again, the saturation of the machine iron core is ignored. Okay. The second assumption is about the ED currents. So the ED current and the hysteretic losses in the machine are excluded. This is my second assumption. The last one is the flux in the stator winding generated by the permanent magnet is in a sinusoidal distribution. Okay. With these three assumptions, the expression for the components of the stator voltage and DQ axis are, so I will have here for the stator. This is the stator voltage on the axis. So do you remember from the previous lectures how to develop the dynamical model? So do you remember? Okay, so I will start from the natural frame. This is the natural frame. Okay. I will develop the equations. Okay, I will have here the stator, the state vector representation. Okay, so I will have here this is the vector representation, the state vector representation. Okay, so from the natural reference frame, okay, I will have three possibilities. Okay, the first one is a synchronous reference frame. I will have here the stator reference frame and the rotor reference frame. This is the superscript. What about the subscript? It's possible to have a stator rotor. It means refer to the stator, either refers to the stator or refers to the rotor. Okay, and this is the superscript. So is represent in the synchronous reference frame, represent in the stator reference frame, and represent in the rotor reference frame. Okay, so from the natural reference frame, I will have here three reference frames. Okay, the synchronous, the stator, and the rotor reference frames. Okay, later on, if I am working in the synchronous reference frame, I have the possibility to split up in the DQ axis components. Okay, for the stator, the same. Okay, I will have here the Clark transformation. It means the alpha beta components. Okay, and for the rotor, I will have here the capital letter DQ. Okay, components. Okay, so from the doubly fed induction generator, we carry out the demonstration in deeply detail. Okay, in horrendous detail. But for the other generator, for the other wind turbine, okay, I am using directly the synchronous reference frame. Okay, but what is the methodology? First of all, I will start with the natural frame. Later on, with these three frames, okay, because I have three possibilities, the PQ, the alpha beta, and the DQ. Okay, and finally, I will split up. I will get the dynamical model. So it's possible to have the dynamical model in three different reference frames. The first one is the DQ. This is the synchronous. The second one is the stator. This is alpha beta. And the last one is the rotor. So once again, the starting point is this one. And this is the last point in order to get the dynamical model. So from the squirrel cage induction generator and for the permanent magnet synchronous generator, I am skipping this part. I am skipping this part. I am working only in this part, the final result. Okay, the final result. Even it's possible to say I skip only this part. Okay, because if I have the questions, I am splitting up here. Okay, but if you have the equation on the, for instance, on the synchronous reference frame, you can go back and have the state vector representation. Okay, and later on, if you have the state vector representation, you can go to the natural reference frame. Okay, it's the same. Yeah, for this case, the expression for the components of the stator voltage and the DQ axis are, in this case, this is the stator voltage on the axis, okay, is equal to the stator resistance times the stator current plus, I will have here the derivative of the stator flux on the axis minus, I will have here the electrical angular frequency of the generator times the stator flux on Q axis. Okay, I am working on the stator. Later on, this is my first component. What about the second component? The second component is the quadrature. So I am taking the derivative of the stator flux on the quadrature axis plus, I will have here the electrical angular frequency of the generator times, this is the stator flux on the axis. Okay. So we know by definition what is the stator flux on quadrature axis. So I will say this is equal to this is the inductance on the axis. This is the stator current on the axis plus this is for the permanent magnet synchronous machine. This is the permanent magnet synchronous machine. Okay. And by definition, we know in this case the stator flux on the axis. Okay, this is equal to the quadrature axis inductance times the stator current on Q axis. Okay. What about the fluxes? Okay, this flux is equal to, this is by definition, so let's use another color. Okay, so I will have here the derivative is equal to the direct axis inductance, the derivative of the current okay, this is this flux. Okay, what about this flux? By definition is equal to the stator inductance on Q axis. Okay, the derivative, I will have the stator current on Q axis. Okay, so substituting this equation here, substituting this equation here, substituting this equation here, and this equation here, I will get the two equations as a function of the derivative of the currents. Okay? So substituting, I will get the derivative because I am substituting the flux by the current. Okay, so I will have here the derivative of the stator current on the axis. Okay, is equal to 1 over the direct axis inductance is equal to 1 over, this is times. Okay, this is the direct access inductance. So once again, the direct access inductance. So this is equal to so times the stator voltage on the axis, okay, minus the stator resistance, the stator current on the axis, plus the electrical angular frequency of the generator, times the quadrature axis inductance, times the stator current on Q axis. Okay, this is my first equation. What about the Q axis? So I will have here my second equation. This is stator current on Q axis. Okay, and this is equal to 1 over, I will have here this, the stator inductance on Q axis. So I will have here the voltage, the stator voltage minus the stator resistance times the stator current on Q axis minus, I will have here the electrical angular frequency times the direct access inductance times the stator current on the axis plus, I will have here the permanent magnet flux linkage. This is the permanent magnet flux linkage. So this is the two equation. We have already derived the two equation of the generator model for the permanent magnet synchronous generator. Okay. Yeah, for these two equations, I will assume, so in this case, I will assume the electromotive force of Q axis, I will define this is equal to the speed times the permanent magnet flux. Okay? Tell me. Go ahead. Do you have any question? Okay, so if you don't have question, let's continue. So I am assuming the electromotive force of Q axis is defined as this equation. And the electromotive forces of the D axis is equal to 0. Okay? As the rotor of the permanent magnet synchronous generator has a symmetrical structure, it's possible to assume the quadrature axis inductance is equal to the direct axis inductance, and let's call this R. Because the rotor of the permanent magnet synchronous generator has a symmetrical structure. Okay? Therefore, I will replace this and this in these equations. Okay? And finally, I will get the dynamical model of the permanent magnet synchronous generator. So this is the equivalent circuit of the permanent magnet synchronous generator on the DQ synchronously rotating reference frame. So I will have here the two equations, including substituting in this equation, okay, and taking out the common factor, I will get the equivalent circuit. So I will have here the derivative. See, this is the stator current on the axis, okay, is equal to negative 1 over the inductance. Okay, this is the stator resistance times the stator current on the axis. I will have here the speed of the generator. This is the stator current on Q axis plus 1 over L. This is the inductance. I will have here the voltage, the stator voltage on the axis. And this is for the D component. What about the quadrature component? So once again, I will have here the derivative of the stator current on Q axis, okay, is equal to negative 1 over the inductance, stator resistance, stator current on Q axis minus the generator speed times the stator current on D axis minus 1 over L. I will have here the permanent magnet flux plus 1 over L, the stator voltage on Q axis. Okay, so finally, this is the equivalent circuit. Okay, this is the equivalent circuit of Q shaft, and this is the equivalent circuit of D axis. Okay, so I have the dynamical model of the permanent magnet synchronous generator. Okay, so finally, in order to have the whole equation, I need to include the active power and the electromagnetic torque. Okay, so in order to compute the active and reactive power on the permanent magnet synchronous generator, so I will have here the stator by definition is equal to, I will have 3 over 2. Okay, so I will have here the stator voltage on the axis times the stator current on the axis plus the stator voltage on Q axis times the stator current on Q axis. Okay, this is for the active power. What about the reactive power? For the reactive power, I will have 3 over 2, okay, times, in this case, is the stator voltage on Q axis times the stator current on D axis minus, I will have here the stator voltage on D axis times the stator current on Q axis. Okay. And finally, the electromagnetic torque of the permanent magnet synchronous generator is defined. This is equal to 3 over 2. This is the number of poles. Taking the imaginary part, okay, so I will have here the stator flux times the conjugate of the stator current. This is one way. What is the second way in order to compute the electromagnetic torque? So I will split up in the DQ a reference frame. So this is equal to the electromagnetic torque is equal to 3 over 2 times the number of poles times, I will have here the stator voltage on D axis times the stator current on Q axis minus, I will have here the stator flux on Q axis times the stator current on D axis. Okay. And finally, taking into account these approximations, okay, I will get the electromagnetic torque, okay, is equal to 3 over 2. This is the number of poles times, I will have the quadrature axis inductance, the direct axis inductance minus the quadrature axis inductance times the stator current on D axis times the stator current on Q axis plus, I will have here the permanent magnet flux times the stator current on Q axis. Okay? So therefore, this is equal to 0. Based on the above assumption, the torque equation can be simplified as I will have 3 over 2, the number of poles. This is the permanent magnet flux times the stator current on Q axis. Okay? See, this is the dynamical model. Okay, so in order to make clear this, let's work